Hey everybody, and welcome to Sexy Sunday, where we talk about all things sex and self-love. And today we're going to be talking part 2 about orgasms. Part 2 of probably many more videos. In this video and in this series, I'm going to be talking about adult content and sometimes in detail, so please just be aware of who you're watching this around. I also won't be describing the makeup that I'm wearing as I'm applying it, so I will have it all listed down below. And also any books, resources, websites, or anything that I used for any of these episodes will also be listed down below. And finally, because of the nature of the content of this video, YouTube will probably demonetize these, so please make sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and click the link in my bio to find me on other social media sites so that you can support me through this. Without further ado, let's get into part 2 about orgasms. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some struggles with trying to have an orgasm and giving you some advice as to how you can start to overcome a couple of those struggles. And I'm going to be reading advice that you guys sent in as well. Thank you all so much for everybody who sent me a DM or sent me an email. And just a reminder, if you have any sex questions, if you have any fun stories, sexy stories, if you have anything that you want to share with me, you can do so by emailing me at kittysnackbeauty@gmail.com, or you can, my DMs are always open. You can always DM me. One more thing. I know I'm going to get asked. This shirt is from Shrill Society. I will have it linked down below. Okay, now let's get going. So I want to start by having 2 caveats with this episode. The first is that every single one of the things that we are going to be talking about today could be its own video, and hopefully eventually will be its own video. So let me know in the comments what topics you would like me to expand on, and I will definitely put that on the list for videos that I want to film for this series. And then the second caveat is that please don't feel like orgasming is the end-all be-all. Orgasm is not the prize at the end of the race. It is just a cherry on top of a sundae, but that doesn't even mean that the sundae wasn't delicious, and some people don't even like cherries. So just, I want to put that out there, that orgasms are not the end-all be-all. So I'm going to be talking about 2 main categories and then kind of breaking off out of those 2 categories. So the 2 categories I want to start with are internal factors and then external factors. Internal factors being, you know, inside of ourselves, our brain, our thoughts, things like that. And then external factors are things outside of that. I don't think I need to explain what internal and external means, but you never know. You never know. Why not? First, I want to talk about some internal factors, because honestly, a lot of these are some of the most important ones, because so much of having an orgasm is inside of your brain. So the first I want to talk about is medication, which I actually wasn't super educated on and still am not. I'm not an expert on any of these topics. I'm just sharing. Different medications can have a negative effect on your sex life, on your libido, and your ability to orgasm. Through doing some research and hearing what y'all have to say, I have a couple tips for how to kind of not overcome, but how to help. The first one that I read was try to have sex before you take your medication. That can tone down some of the adverse sexual effects of your medication. The next is talking to your doctor just to make sure that it is a side effect of your medication and that there's not anything else going down that could be a factor in why you can't have an orgasm or why you struggle with your libido or having an orgasm or any of those factors. And then on the website Very Well Minded, I found a nice article that had these 5 tips, and I thought they were just a good way of summarizing it. They could also be used for really anything that we're talking about in this episode. Don't stay silent, avoid blame, be honest, work together, and ask for help. And that's all to say, like, again, you deserve to feel good, you deserve to enjoy your sex life, so if you're not, speak up. Speak up, talk to your doctor, talk to your partner, and maybe think about incorporating some other tips, like the ones I'm gonna talk about towards the end of this video, that are external factors. So I wanna read a couple messages from y'all. I started taking Lexapro about a year ago, and I immediately noticed a difference in my ability to climax. It was awful, but here's a few things that helped. Be patient with myself. As soon as I get upset or impatient for experiencing these differences, it immediately makes it 1,000 times harder to finish. Sometimes taking deep breaths and shifting into your headspace makes all the difference. Second, moving around. If you're using a toy or vibrator or something like that, I've noticed that moving my waist in a gyrating motion helps and taking plenty of time for foreplay, even if you're by yourself. The next person said, nothing too crazy or exciting here, but I'm on an antidepressant, so for my BF and I, lube and toys are a regular part of our sex life. Without them, I usually struggle to orgasm because of my meds. I will take them late some nights after sex, which is also a huge help. The biggest thing though is my boyfriend's attentiveness and patience. He doesn't try to rush me to get me to finish quick, so I'm able to relax and just focus on my body, which is so important and another whole factor we'll talk about in a little bit. So a combination of not guilting yourself, knowing that you're not alone, and just being patient with yourself and trying out some other factors are gonna be really helpful in trying to overcome these orgasm struggles when it comes to battling your medication. For this next section, I want to put a trigger warning that we will be mentioning sexual assault and the trauma associated with sexual assault. So if you don't want to listen to that, I will put a timestamp right here and give you a brief moment to pass it if you do not want to listen for any reason, and I will see you in the next section. So as we all know, sexual assault is something that far too many of us experience, and it can obviously have a negative effect on many aspects of our life, including our sex lives. This is something that I struggle to talk about because I haven't personally gone through that, so it's hard for me to tell people how to cope, but what I can tell you is that you deserve to cope. You deserve to enjoy your sex life. You deserve to heal and to grow. You deserve to have a healthy, fun, fulfilling sex life if that's what you want to do. So for this section, I just want to read some of the tips that y'all sent in to help. First one, therapy, especially if you have a lot of sexual trauma. Absolutely. Go, everybody should see a therapist, but especially if that's something you've gone through, definitely reach out and get a therapist. I will have Psychology Today's website linked down below that can hook you up with a therapist. You deserve to go to therapy. Due to work stress and because I was sexually assaulted, I'm taking medication for stress and anxiety because of all of that, and because of all that, sex has never been easy for me, to say the least. I have a loving, patient partner who understands me, and we try different things. First, I'm in control. I tell my husband where to touch and where to kiss. That makes my anxiety and nerves manageable. 2, I try really hard to clear my mind and think of nothing else but that moment, every touch and kiss. And then they go on to explain that they know exactly what positions that they enjoy and what toys that they enjoy that helps them get there. The next message says, this is something I learned in therapy, but I think applies to everyone, not just people with sexual trauma. Focus on being present. Don't let your mind Don't let your mind wander. Don't get self-conscious. Just focus on your breathing and what you're experiencing in every moment. Also, don't make orgasm the goal. That makes you tense and anxious if you're not getting there. A lot of vagina owners never orgasm from penetration alone, so just focusing on the pleasure and having fun with your partner during sex makes it a way better experience and makes orgasm a lot more likely. And this next one's a little long and a little specific, but I think it's still an important message that I got. When my partner and I first got together 5 years ago, it was honestly really beautiful falling back into a safe space with someone while naked and vulnerable. I was fresh out of a relationship where I was assaulted over and over again, and I had some trust issues and had almost an identical situation years prior, so he knew how hard it would be to be vulnerable after something like that happens to you. I was also on some heavy antidepressants at the time, which were providing some fuel to the problem as well. We would always enjoy our intimate moments together, but no one would ever get their big O, because whenever we got close, I would ask to stop since it felt like it was too much to handle. One day I introduced him to the world of kinks, and he was interested in trying some very light bondage after I told him I had some experience with it. We started off very small and never really needed more than just our wrists tied. With an easy green, yellow, red safe word system set up. With these, we could check in at any time. If it was full speed ahead, we would say green. If we weren't quite ready for it to stop, but we're feeling a little overwhelmed, we would say yellow. And if it ever felt like too much, we would say red, and everything immediately stopped so we could untie each other and cuddle. This was so crucial to me healing over my experience and helping us both to achieve our first ever orgasms together. It made that bond so much tighter. I thought that message was just so beautiful that they were able to work through it together, to explore together, to have fun, and also have so much communication together to make it an enjoyable experience. Practicing self-love and being kind to yourself and communicating with your partner are all key factors. I found another article about masturbating as a way to reclaim your power that I will link down below that gives some really easy ways to start to do those things. This, as well as trying to get into therapy and incorporating some other tips that we were talking about, can help you overcome it. To me, this next one is the one that is the most all-encompassing for me when we're talking about internal factors, and it is just being in your head too much, being self-conscious, being anxious, and just being in your own head. Whether it's trauma or whether it's just daily stress, if we're anxious, it's gonna make everything a lot more difficult no matter what your stress is about. If you have stress, it's gonna make things more difficult. The tool that I've talked about before is picturing a reader board in your head with encouraging phrases. That has helped me a ton. So just picture scrolling words saying things like, this feels so good, I love them so much, I'm enjoying this, whatever it is. And then just positive self-talk, hyping yourself up, making sure you feel like the bad bitch you are, and knowing that your partner wants to fuck you and they get to do this. They are excited. They want you to enjoy it, no matter what that means for them and for you and your partner. They want you to enjoy it. They want you. So here's some messages I got that kind of fit right into this factor. The biggest thing for me is thinking about what I want long before anything starts. The anticipation builds, and therefore the foreplay does, and it makes everything more intense. I have to hype myself up. In my head, I remind myself how hot I am and how hot my partner thinks I am. This next person says, masturbating in the mirror helps with body acceptance and completely letting go of stress, anxiety, and tension. Orgasms have always been an issue with me, to the point of crying during sex. God bless my patient husband. Self-love has obviously helped me a ton during sex. And don't force it on days you're not feeling good about your sex. It's normal to not feel great every day. Another thing that's helped me is no longer doing the fake sex sounds, because I thought that's what dudes liked. I got so focused on making sexy noises that I forgot the objective was to fucking come. Haha. I did this because some asshole thought I fell asleep during sex one time and called me out. Fuck him. I didn't fall asleep. I was focusing. He was just a douche, and I'm over that insecurity now. Thank God. Love that story. But yeah, when you add all of these things like, oh, I'm supposed to sound like this, I'm supposed to look like this, are they not enjoying it? Am I doing this right? Am I bad at this? Do I look like all of these things? The more you pile on to yourself while trying to have an orgasm, the least likely an orgasm is going to be. Okay, let's move on to some external factors. The first one is the thing that I got the most comments about, the most messages about when I asked for your guys' orgasm tips. The number one that I got was toys. Bringing toys in to the bedroom. And I think that's probably one of the most obvious ones. Like I talked about in the first episode of this series, a lot of vagina havers can't have an orgasm from penetration alone. Ya girl being one. So bringing in toys can exponentially help you to get there. I think there's a couple concerns when talking about bringing toys into the bedroom. So let's talk about them. The first is my partner going to feel emasculated, going to feel like they're not good enough? Are they gonna feel weird about it? Are they gonna judge me? All of those thoughts race through your head. And what I will say is your partner should want you to get off. And if your partner doesn't want you to get off, that's a whole nother issue. But the long and the short of it is dump them. Your partner should want you to enjoy sex. But that's for a whole nother video. The first is just explaining that it's just a fact. A lot of people can't, and we can't take it personally. You can't take it personally. Just explaining, hey, this is a very, very normal thing for people to experience, and I experience it, and this is how we fix it. This is how we go about making it better. The next thing you can do is bring them toy shopping with you. It can be a really fun date, or, you know, sit down, go online, little online inside date. But grab your mask and go to your local sex shop if it's open and shop for toys together. From my experience, most sex shops have very, very educated and helpful employees that won't judge you and will just make sure that you get the best toy you can. And if your local sex shop isn't like that, there's plenty of online ones like Shop Spectrum Boutique that make it really, really easy to shop for toys when you don't necessarily know what you're looking for. But that way, you two can make a whole date of it, and your partner will get excited and be more excited to use the toy on you. And maybe, you know, get something for them and something for you. You can make a whole night of it. But I think the most awkward part is when you actually have the toys and making that like, I'm gonna grab the thing. That can be awkward. Or just like whipping it out, fussing with the buttons, making sure it's at the correct speed and angle and all of that nonsense. A couple things you can do is, if you are still uncomfortable using your toy around your partner, try going under the blankets. Try going into a position where it's a little bit less obvious that you're using it. Just for the first, little bit until you get more comfortable. And then the next thing you can do before your sexy time, pop your toy under your pillow, or if it's not already, right next to your, like my toy basket. It's a terrible way of putting it, but it's literally a basket with my toys in it. My toy basket is across the room, right? So I'd want to bring it over by my bed so that way it doesn't interrupt the whole flow of the evening. My camera's overheating, so I'm gonna go fill in my eyebrows real quick and we'll come back and finish up talking about toys. Okay, brows are on. They're not twins or sisters, they're kind of cousins, but it's okay. It's fine, it's fine. So let's continue talking about toys. And the next thing is that you're going to want to find a toy that will work for partnered sex. Sometimes the toy that you use solo will do fine for partnered sex, but sometimes that's not going to be the case. Sometimes it's not going to feel comfortable in your hand with your positions, whatever it is, or it's just not going to be what you need. What you need when you're solo is different than what you need when you're with a partner. So this is obviously going to take some trial and error, but like I said, also people who work at adult stores will be a really good resource. And also talk to your friends, leave your favorite toys in the comments, crowdsource, do what you can to figure out what's going to be best for you. Personally, I like something a little bit bigger in my hand just because my hand won't cramp like that. It takes a lot of concentration and a lot of time and a lot of focus, and if my hand, it's not going to be good if my hand cramps. So as opposed to alone, I might use like a smaller vibrator. If I'm with my partner, I want something kind of big and soft. Something bendy that I can move around, that isn't gonna hurt if something, like my vibrator's here and a hand or another object is here. If my skin gets pinched in between, which has happened before when I use hard vibrators, and it's not ideal. So again, that's just gonna take a little bit more trial and error. Also just wanna put it out there that there are so many more toys than just vibrators that you could add in to your partner and sex life. So if you've graduated from just, adding a vibrator into the bedroom with your partner, maybe explore past that. Maybe explore some anal toys. Maybe explore something a little bit kinkier, flavored lube, like whatever. There's so many toys. Again, go to the sex shop with your partner, go online to the sex shop with your partner, and figure out what sounds good to you. And there will absolutely be at least one video about toys, but probably multiple videos about toys down the road. So do not worry. The next I want to talk about is I'm gonna put it under the sphere of atmosphere. This is like music that you listen to, the place that you're having sex, temperature in the room. Those can all be small factors that can just make it more difficult. Those small factors that you just don't need when you're trying to have an orgasm. You don't want to worry about that. So for example, I cannot, if it is too cold in the room, I will have sex with socks on. If it means that I'm gonna orgasm, yeah, I'll have sex with socks on if I'm warmer. No shame in my socked sex game. Sometimes music can be distracting, and again, we don't necessarily need more distractions. Or sometimes you need music to keep you into it. For some people it can be distracting. For some people you need it to stay in so that your mind doesn't wander, so you can kind of drown out your own negative thoughts if they're starting to come up, if that makes sense. So you can experiment with different stuff you listen to and whether you like listening to it at all. Setting the atmosphere, especially like a lot of people and a lot of things, and including myself, we really like to, set the scene and make it romantic and have a lot of build up. So like setting a nice, romantic or just hot, sexy scene and setting the atmosphere can really help keep you in the zone, for longer, make it so that you have less distractions, and just make it an overall experience as opposed to, just fucking. And then obviously time and place. If you're worried about your kids hearing, about your parents hearing, if you're if you're just not comfortable, if you feel rushed because you only have so much time, whatever it is, so many of these, you know, atmospheric factors can either hurt or help. Can either hurt or help. So just making sure you have your desired preferences when you're having sex. So mess around with time and place and music and not music and temperature and all of that and see what you like and what you don't like. And this next one is kind of going along with it, but positioning. A lot of people, when they sent me their, you know, their tips that they wanted to share, some sort of position was in their tip. A lot of people said that they can only have an orgasm when they're on top. I could not be farther from that. I have the easiest time orgasming in like missionary, sometimes doggy style, but like just because I need to use a toy, I have to know that, you know, we can go around to other positions, but then at the end or at some point, we gotta go into this position if I'm gonna finish. Making sure you know your body, and if you don't, taking the time to practice, and again, being kind to yourself when you're having those practice moments. If it's not getting too frustrated with yourself, if it's okay, let's try this position. Nope, okay, that's not working. Let's try a new position. Nope, okay, that's not gonna work. Okay, let's try a new one. Don't get frustrated with yourself, you know? Take the time to just have fun with it. You know, it's like musical positions. Which one is it gonna be? The last one, and one of the biggest ones besides yourself, is your partner. Because we are talking about partnered sex, and your partner is a person just like you, and your partner deserves to enjoy sex the same way that you deserve to enjoy sex. And you should be there for your partner and want to help them come in the same way that they should for you. You know what I mean? It's a two-way street. Communication is key. And if you're having problems outside the bedroom, a lot of the time those can feed into the bedroom. So I want to read a couple messages that people sent in about this topic. I find that asking for what you need when you're close to orgasm works. For example, if you need your partner to go slower or faster, if you need your partner to go faster or slower, if you need them to stimulate your clitoris in order to get the orgasm that you want, then just do it. It makes it way easier than waiting for them to figure out what to do. And I think it also can relieve tension, because if you're just waiting for them to figure it out, you get frustrated because they're not figuring it out, and they can get frustrated because they're not figuring it out, or they don't know. Like, it's not fair to put those expectations on each other. We should just be like, hey, I like this, 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 and this. And then when they do that and they get you there, it's gonna be really exciting for the both of you. For me, I don't usually have an orgasm unless I'm completely naked right up against my partner. Skin to skin is really important for me. Again, more preferences that this person knows that the partner can, you know, accommodate to get them there. I also find that when you control the movement of the intercourse, like being on top of your partner, you can therefore control what feels good for you, and that can pleasure your significant other as well. No one knows you as much as you know yourself. And this is another one kind of similar to the last couple. I should put blush up here too. Just like balance the blush all over my face. Orgasm tip. Okay, sounds silly, but the best thing I've done is to not beat around the bush, no pun intended. Just do or tell my partner what to do. I don't come very easily, and there's very few things that are a surefire way to get me there. I used to be shy about saying what I wanted. Now I take control and flat out just say, if you want me to come, this is what needs to happen. So I can get mine too. Love that. Next is, there is no goal in sex. We put so much emphasis on the orgasm when it's just about having fun with your partner. Yes, say that again. Sometimes my partner and I have sex and neither of us have orgasm. Later we start again and have multiple. I love this sentence. Sex is like a conversation when you're in a long-term relationship. There is never an end to our conversation, so why does there need to be an end to our sex life? Well said. Final and most important tip is communication. In my past long-term relationships, I never felt comfortable asking for what I needed. I would try to have proper sex conversations and was always shot down. My last partner said it was because he was not used to a woman being so open with her sexuality, which is honestly such complete bullshit. LOL. I've told my friends, if someone says that to you, laugh on your way out the door. That is not a reflection of you, but on them. If your partner doesn't want to make you feel like the sexiest person around, it's not worth your time. Boom! Okay, my eyeliner on this eye went crazy, went stupid, so I had to shut off my camera and adjust everything in my life. But you know, healthy relationships breed healthy sex lives, and unhealthy relationships can breed unhealthy sex lives. So if you're not happy with your partner, chances are you're probably not going to be happy having sex with them. And I think I definitely want to do an episode on, you know, unhappy relationships, toxic relationships, and, you know, breaking up, things like that. But your partner is also a person, so that's all to say that communication is key. You have to communicate with each other to figure out what your partner is comfortable with, what they're willing to do, what they aren't willing to do, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, and come together literally. No matter what, you should want your partner to enjoy sex and they should want you to enjoy sex. And if there's some disconnect there, I highly recommend reevaluating that relationship because it doesn't seem healthy and you deserve to have a healthy relationship. And having those conversations the first couple times is awkward, or it never really gets less awkward. I feel like every time you have a conversation, it's awkward at first, but then once you're in the conversation, it's not awkward anymore, or it shouldn't really be. But bringing up, like, hey, I want you to do this, or hey, can we talk about our sex life? That is awkward feeling. But the more that you do it, one, probably the better your sex life is going to be because you're communicating with your partner. And two, the easier it gets. And I find that having these conversations, like, outside of the bedroom and inside of the bedroom, like, it doesn't matter, but I think both are really good. One of my favorite things to do is to do a wrap-up moment. After you guys are done having sex, laying together, relaxing after you go pee, laying together, relaxing, and just asking questions. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you want me to do more? Asking those questions, getting those answers, and, you know, having a conversation about it. Just be like, that wasn't my favorite, but this was my favorite. Or I love those moments where it's like, you really seem to like that. Those ones are the most fun. And that way it can be, you know, an intimate bonding experience. And it's like, okay, here's what we did. Here's what we're gonna do next time. And it makes you excited for the next time to have sex. If you have these things of like, yeah, we should try this more next time. It's fun. It's really fun. But with that said, we're about finished with this episode. So I'm gonna go pop on some eyelashes and do my hair real quick and we'll be back to wrap it all up. All right, everybody, and that's that. This is the look. Those are just some of the tips. Like I said, each of these individual topics could be whole videos in and of themselves. So with that being said, comment down below and let me know what topic you want me to talk about next, whether it was mentioned here in this video or if it's just something that you want me to talk about. Please let me know and I will try to incorporate it very soon into a video on the Sexy Sunday series. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of the love and support and excitement behind this. It's very nerve-wracking for me to do because this is something I'm very passionate about, so I'm afraid of failure. But I just can't tell you how thankful I am that y'all are allowing me to do this. So with that being said, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And just a reminder, all of the information will be in the description box for you. But with that, I love you guys so much and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!